Michael Snyder is our resident film critic. He joins us from Los Angeles. These are the movies he's going to be reviewing for us in honor of our guest today, Aisling Bea, who is from Ireland. He'll talk about 71. Then there's the number one movie in America, Focus, starring Will Smith, The Salvation, The Wrecking Crew, Magician, the second best Marigold Hotel, and we're going to talk about Merchants of Doubt again. 71.
I feel like I'm 71 after this conversation, but I ain't. Anyway, 1971, things were deadly and crazy during the Troubles in Belfast in Northern Ireland. The British had an army presence there. The loyalists were fighting the rebels. The IRA was battling those who were loyal to England, and of course, the whole religious subtext of Protestant versus Catholic was obviously locked in. There were safe areas depending upon who you were and what you were doing, and 71, the movie, thrusts you right into the middle of this, along with a young British soldier whose life is sort of at loose ends and is sent with his unit in the middle of a very, very dangerous neighborhood in Belfast, and a riot occurs. And while this is going on, his unit retreats, and he's stuck there. He's in the middle of these unknown alleyways, these hostile environs, and this movie follows the soldier, played by Jack O'Connell, who's wonderful in Unbroken, a movie I wasn't that crazy about, but really stands out in a film that's much more vital and bracing and just relevant than the other movie. 71, is a brutal journey and extremely tense, and also benefits from the fine supporting players, including Sam Reed, Sean Harris, who is Jared Harris's brother, and the late Richard Harris is one of his sons, and Paul Popplewell, really good British character actors. And what you see is the creature feeding on itself, as even among the British, there are factions in their occupying force that are working against one another. Crazy good 71.
Focus.
Focus is the latest film by a couple of remarkable success stories. Will Smith, of course, is the former Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He became a superstar of the silver screen. Margot Robbie is a young, up-and-coming Australian actress who is incandescent, made her first splash in the States in a TV show called Pan Am, and has since been in The Wolf of Wall Street, and is on the verge of being a part of the DC superhero universe as Harley Quinn, the Joker's model. So she's got some heat. Now, Smith has not had a lot of success at the box office lately, and his After-Earth sci-fi movie, which he starred in with his son Jaden, was a real bomb. And so this was bracing by comparison. This was fun, amusing, exciting, completely implausible, paper thin, and yet an enjoyable look at a veteran con artist named Nikki and a woman that he gets involved with who kind of wants to pull a con on him, little realizing that he's one of the top in his field. And they meet again when he's on another caper down the road. It's not a great film. It was fun to watch. The various plots, plans, crosses, and double crosses are fun. And Smith and Robbie are good, and they make kind of an interesting romantic couple, except that Smith is sort of inert. Once he gets out of his comfort zone as the wise guy and tries to play it serious, he doesn't really resonate the way he does on the screen when he's doing what he does so well, that kind of smirky, kind of easygoing, fun-loving goofball. You've missed that in this movie. You could have used a little more of it. But, the guy's trying to transition into more mature movies. This is a silly way to do it, but Focus was empty calories, to say the least.
The Salvation.
The Salvation, fantastic film set in 1870s America on the frontier. This is a movie by a Danish director, writer named Christian Levering, and it stars the great Mads Mikkelsen, who currently has been seen on American television as Hannibal Lecter in the NBC hour-long drama Hannibal. And he's been in a ton of things. He was the chief in Casino Royale, the James Bond reboot. He is one of the great actors from Scandinavia. He's a leading man. He's an idiosyncratic look, and he is always on point. In this case, he plays kind of a peace-loving guy who's come from Denmark, and he's had his family join him, his wife and child. They come to see him and live with him in the western frontier, and something awful happens. And then he is pitted against the leader of a vicious gang, and the local townspeople turn on him, and then it's him against the world. Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays the gang leader. Ava Green plays the gang leader's Moll. Fantastic. Ava Green, who is in Penny Dreadful on Showtime and, or HBO, one of the two. I don't know. Anyway, fantastic film. Beautiful, beautiful film. Shot, I believe, in South Africa, but, a fine stand-in for the old American West. And it's potent. It just really looks beautiful, incredibly well acted. Mads rocked it, so did the rest of the cast. And again, the cinematography was glorious. The Salvation, available hither, thither, and yon, starting now.
The Wrecking Crew.
The Wrecking Crew. Well, believe it or not, a troupe of about 20-plus musicians were the key players behind so many hit records from about 1962 to 1971, recordings that were done in Los Angeles studios in that time, the majority of top 40 hits from those studios. And in fact, I'll be honest with you, so many Grammy songs of the year that it's crazy. You know the names of the artists on the records: Nat King Cole, the Ronettes, Sinatra, the Beach Boys, the Monkees, Sonny and Cher, but you don't really hear much about the musicians that were the guys making the instrumental backing on these recordings. A few of them went on to become better known. Glenn Campbell, Leon Russell, Dr. John, they were all members of the Wrecking Crew, which was the nickname these studio players were given and embraced for themselves. And it's just an ensemble memoir. And it's the work of Danny Tedesco, who directs this thing and pulled it together. He's the son of the Wrecking Crew guitarist Tommy Tedesco, who is now passed on. And we see vintage and recent interviews of the crew members and the stars, movie and TV clips, film shot at some of the sessions. These are the guys that recorded Pet Sounds, one of the greatest American rock era albums ever, and just a great piece of music. 6 Grammy Records of the Year. And among them, a woman, Carol Kay, who held her own with these guys and is considered by a lot of people, including Paul McCartney, to have revolutionized the way the electric bass is played. And you heard a few of the names before, but the Mamas and Papas, Johnny Rivers, The Association, Simon and Garfunkel. These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra, that's the Wrecking Crew. Everybody's Talking by Harry Nilsson, Wrecking Crew. The Tijuana Brass, Herb Alpert's band, the Wrecking Crew. And these are the guys that did the Pink Panther theme, the Mission Impossible theme, the Batman theme, and Hawaii Five-0. I mean, all this stuff is their work. Phil Spector's recordings, it's basically those guys. It's fantastic. They would go from studio to studio. They'd work from morning to night, and some of them were very well paid, and eventually the gigs begin to dry up. There's a few still alive today, and it's an amazing experience. If you get a chance to get the 4 CD set, that's kind of a correlation to this movie, oh my God, it's like having a time machine that's the world's greatest jukebox. Everything from, You've Lost That Love and Feeling by the Righteous Brothers to Wichita Lineman and, Fifth Dimension. It's just phenomenal. Loved it. Coming out in theaters this month.
Tell me about Magician.
Well, it's subtitled The Astonishing Life and Work of Orson Welles. This is, of course, the larger-than-life filmmaker, actor, director, writer, and he's given the archival footage and interview treatment by director Chuck Workman, who you may know of for all of the memorable movie montages he would do for the Academy Awards broadcasts. And now he's put together Magician, which is a really good look at this Hollywood colossus, Orson Welles. I mean, a guy who had really prodigious physical presence and personality. and a very small, considering how important he is in the film history, a relatively small filmography, but some truly important movies, including maybe one of the most influential debut, well, probably the most influential debut feature ever, Citizen Kane, which is still considered among the greatest movies of all time. I mean, you get rare stuff here, like a look at his first use of film in a stage performance. You get segments from unreleased projects, bits of interviews with Wells, and Simon Callow, the British actor who's been in stuff like Four Weddings and a Funeral. It's kind of a Wells expert, so he's on camera talking about the guy. This is the guy that made The Magnificent Ambersons. He made Chimes at Midnight, which was his interpretation of Shakespeare's character Falstaff, and he played the portly guy. And it's a fantastic film if you ever get a chance to see it. And he would act in other people's stuff, like The Third Man, where he played this sinister role that is one of the more memorable turns that he had in his career. He was phenomenal, and this movie is a lovely tribute to him. And for fans of cinema and for fans of Wells, I think it's something worth seeking out too.
The second best Marigold Hotel.
You forgot exotic. The second best exotic Marigold Hotel.
Ah.
Well, this is kind of a guilty pleasure. It's the sequel to the charming movie about the elderly gang of British pensioners and retirees who take a trip to the lovely and exotic environs of India and find themselves all bunking at the same budget hotel, and they basically take the place over. And this is the sequel to that, and it again features, among others, Judi Dench, Maggie Smith, Bill Nighy, young Dev Patel, who plays the overly earnest young man who runs the establishment with the assistance of Maggie Smith's character. And Dev Patel is also, of course, he was a cast member on The Newsroom, which was on HBO. And this is charming. I'd call it kind of comfort food in a way. And if you're a fan of the proper masterpiece theater type entertainment, this is very sweet. And, it actually also says a little message about the vitality of the elderly. Like, don't you denigrate them. Don't overlook them, because they can still do some serious damage, these people. It's kind of cute. Great? No, it's not. The first movie was a little fresher, but still, it's fun to revisit these characters if you like the first film.
And you wanted to talk about Merchants of Doubt again.
Well, I just want to say that it's now going to be opening a little wider after its New York and L.A. Runs, which were, I guess, for awards consideration. It's a documentary that basically rips apart the whole pundits for hire situation, particularly those who suggest that they know what they're talking about when it comes to things like climate change and the drug industry and pollution, when in fact they're basically just hired guns and spin doctors. Pretty fascinating stuff from the director Robert Kenner, and I think kind of necessary reading as an antidote, viewing as an antidote to things like the Fox News sensibility, where partisan politics drives everything you see, and we have editorializing masquerading as news, and suppositions and bald-faced lies represented as fact. So a movie like Merchants of Doubt is kind of a tonic. People should see it.
Great. All right. And people should watch the Jack and Triumph show Friday nights on Adult Swim at 11:30. I also want to recommend a movie directed by Dino Risi, who is an Italian psychiatrist who passed away in 2008. I didn't know he was a psychiatrist, but there's a movie called Il Sorpasso streaming on Amazon Instant Video, made in 1962. It's kind of like Breathless. If you want to enjoy Paris in the 60s, go watch Breathless. If you want to see Tuscany and Rome in the early 60s, watch Il Sorpasso. It stars Vittoria Gassman and Jean-Louis Trintignant.
Trentino. Are you saying it's unsurpassed?
It's pretty amazing. And
hey,
then
by the way, speaking of amazing, I just have to say I watched the second episode of the Jack and Triumph show, and it was a leap forward from the first. And I looked at who wrote it, and oh my God, it was you, my friend. So
thank you.
Kudos.
Thank you,
Kudos.
sir.
I enjoy Robert Smigel's triumph and certainly get a kick out of the aw shucks attitudes of Jack McBrayer. But and this also has the benefit of a wonderful actress who basically came into public consciousness at a very late age. Ruth Squibb, is that her name?
June Squibb. June Squibb.
She was in Nebraska. And she is wonderful in this too. And I think the show found its footing for sure in the second episode. So that's pretty quick out of the starting gate.
Yeah, June was nominated for an Academy Award last year, and that episode has Paul Rudd in it and Ezra Koenig.
It's very, very funny, and I was looking forward to this, and I hate kissing your ass too much, but done.
Come on, you're not kissing my ass. It's Triumph and Jack McBrayer.
Do you find yourself more Triumph or Jack when you're writing these things?
It's fun. I'm in New York. That's why I'm in New York City.
I know.
Michael Snyder. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Have a good one.
Okay.